Hey guys, welcome to an episode of Pamela Horton Stuff. We are going to be talking about Q&A stuff. This is round 2, back by popular demand. You guys like asking me questions and I like answering them the best of my ability. Thank you everybody who submit questions. I really appreciate your guys' interest and the fact that you watch. And without further ado, I'm gonna jump right in. Completely and totally. I would not be here without Playboy at all whatsoever. I also owe Playboy the fact that I met my boyfriend, the love of my life. Gamer Next Door was the launching point for my gaming career, mostly because I'm sure you guys, I hope you guys know by now that I've made sure to be as true to myself as humanly possible while pursuing the career through Playboy and through gaming. I'm a firm believer in everybody is an amazing ingredient in the buffet of life. Some spices and sweets and ingredients do not mix well with others. That doesn't necessarily mean those ingredients are bad, just some of them don't mix. In all seriousness, I do owe a lot of my success and my happiness and where I am right now to Playboy, and I will forever be grateful. First of all, I'm gonna throw that junk away. I try to keep my car as clean as possible. Sometimes I fall a little behind on cleaning out my trunk. Try to keep the junk to a minimum. To answer your question so hinky, I'm gonna toss that shit out. The chances of it happening are actually pretty slim to none. Not because I don't want to work with Smosh or that Smosh doesn't want to work with me. It's a brand fit. Now that doesn't mean I won't be working with Smosh games, because that's more within my realm. I'm a gamer, I do gaming content. I play video games, that's what I do. That's why there's like that separation between Smosh and Smosh games. Although Smosh covers a lot of gaming content, Smosh games is where the gameplay videos and the actual playing games happens. And that's where my realm of brandingness exists. Not only are Smosh games awesome YouTubers, but they're also really good friends of mine. And I love working with them. And as long as they'll let me hang out with them, I will continue to hang out with them. This wasn't the first time this was asked, and it's definitely not gonna be the last time. Ian and I met at the Playboy San Diego Comic-Con party last year. I invited him with the intention of working with them, and as I said before, you know, there's a brand thing, and now there's a nepotism thing, because he's my boyfriend, and I want the successes that I gain to be organic. I don't want to ever be like, oh, well, she gets this because she's Ian's girlfriend. I wanna earn the respect. I wanna earn the work that I do. I wanna earn the recognition. I want to earn the rewards by knowing that I put in the hard work, so I don't ever want to get things because I'm someone's girlfriend. Ladies, I want you to know that there has to be an individual before there can be someone in a couple. You are not defined by your relationship, although it is a really great place to be. I'm not saying don't be in relationships, just don't make your life about your relationships. Be yourself, be a person before you can be in a relationship. That is, I think, why a lot of relationships aren't doing that well right now, because especially in this age, because a lot of people feel this need to be in a relationship instead of work on themselves and let relationships happen. When you force friendships, you force relationships with people that probably wouldn't fit with you because you don't really know yourself. So take the time, get to know yourself, learn who you are and what you're passionate about, because the person that you are right now may not be the same person that you're gonna be 5-10 years from now. I wanna say that I am the same person, but I've learned a lot. I've experienced a lot. I know where my limits are. I know where my passions are, and I know so much more about myself because I took the time. After my last relationship, I was like, I can't just jump right into another relationship. Sorry, I just went off into like this whole little rant thing. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to put that on you guys. It's very real and I mean it, but I'm sorry that I went into that little rant. I guess Golden Sun, the first and second game on Game Boy Advance, count as my 2 games. And the third game would probably be any of the Final Fantasies that were on Game Boy Advance. I love Final Fantasy. I also love RPGs. It's just kind of realm of my taste. He is not traditionally romantic, which is not very important to me, although every girl likes to be romanced, I'm not gonna lie. It's really nice. But he is romantic in the sense that he understands me, he's patient with me, he grounds me, he keeps me stable. It's a healthy, growing relationship, which I feel is a lot more important than romance. Although romance would be really nice. I only did it for a very short amount of time, but cosplaying as Bayonetta for the Bayonetta 2 promotional campaign was the funnest thing ever. It was the first time that I had officially worked with Nintendo, and as you guys know, I'm a huge Nintendo fangirl. So much love for Nintendo in this heart. Yes. It's simultaneously the hardest photo shoot I've ever done and the most gratifying and one of the most profound moments in my career. Like, just hands down. Hopefully the next cosplay that I do is gonna be Tracer. Still waiting to hear on that. The way that I go about that may be a little bit different, mostly because, you know, I'm not with Gamer Next Door anymore, so I think that was pretty easy. When we lived together, Amelia was very vocal about how she felt about the release, the theatrical release of 50 Shades of Grey. She said it was like a porno without porn, you know, like a cheesy storyline. So we made a video called 50 Slices of Pizza. You can check that down in the description. We basically made a porno without the porn. Super cheesy. It was one of the first times that I had ever dressed up as a guy and found that I actually look like a dude convincingly. It's crazy how feminine, well actually I shouldn't be really surprised. I have such a sexually ambiguous, very androgynous look, and I can also pull off multiple, I'm like a human chameleon. It's crazy. You put me in a wig and I look different. You give me blonde hair, I look different. Take my glasses off, I look different. It's like a magic trick with my face. I think that one of the things that a lot of people think about Playmates is that we're promiscuous. We are not promiscuous. In fact, most of the Playmates that I know, if they are married, are in long-term, very serious monogamous relationships with very, I don't want to say like normal guys, but you know, not all Playmates date celebrities or just look for a sugar daddy or whatever, which is what a lot of people think. Also too, I think what that kind of lumps into is, I wish that people just wouldn't judge a book by its cover. I think that you should get to know someone or at least have a conversation with them before you pass judgment on them. I'm learning now, especially now that I'm no longer with Playboy, how many people admit to me, like, I'm so sorry that I totally judged you before I even knew you because of Playboy. Because you're a Playmate, they just assumed that I was a certain way, and then they meet me and they're like, completely opposite of what they thought it was going to be. I'm also actually the worst at this sometimes as well, as judging a book or stereotyping someone based on what they do for work or where they live or whatever it is. And I'm trying really hard to live by example and not judge others based on what they do or where they live or who they are friends with. But the fun part about being a person is you can meet people and have fun and new interactions. The main reason I wanted to study psychology is because although you're gonna meet very similar people, there is not a single person that is exactly like you in every single way. There will always be something that makes you different, and I love that. I love that everybody, no matter who you are, is different. And that's awesome. It's really important to discover who you are and to be yourself, because like, you're the only you. Be you as loud as you can because you're the only one. And that's awesome. And don't judge a book by its cover, because it's bad and not good, and just don't do it. That's mean. I guess I'm not actually wearing it right now, which is kind of funny. My favorite color to wear is black, but my favorite color overall is purple. I love purple. Purple is my favorite color and has been for a very, 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 very long time. It's like that royal, that deep royal purple. I also like lavender sometimes, but it's a more common color, but I really like that royal purple. Love that, girl. Thank you very much for a mug. I am drinking tea out of it almost constantly. I've always wanted to work in video games since forever. When I was 12 years old, my dad asked me, he was like, what do you want to do when you grow up? And I was like, I want to work in video games. And my dad, being the sensible man that he is, told me that it probably isn't very realistic for me to get a job in video games, as I was growing up in Kansas at the time. I was a young lady, and at the time, young ladies in video games you know, wasn't the thing. After that, I decided to combine two passions that I had aside from gaming, which was psychology and art. Together, they make art therapy. Because when I was younger, I received art therapy for a very traumatic situation that I had gone through, and it was a very rewarding, very expressing just cathartic process, and I wanted to be able to relay that same process on others so they can know the relief and the growth that you can feel through art therapy. So specifically, I wanted to be an art therapist in child services. Shortly after I went to college, I did start going to college for art therapy. Things happened, as life does. I was no longer able to go to school, working odd jobs. I used to work at the March of Dimes as a coordinator, and then I worked in a hospice as volunteer coordination and insurance intake. I've worked in a floral department. I've worked at a movie theater. I've worked the jobs. I've put in a lot of really hard hours. At the same time, ever since I was 18, I was doing some modeling on the side. I'd drive up to Kansas City, and then modeling led to Playboy, and then Playboy led to this, and so this is what I'm doing, and it's awesome, and I love it. This one's easy. My favorite video game of all time is Chrono Trigger for the Super Nintendo. I covered it for Hot Pepper Gaming, one of the most nerve-wracking moments of my life, mostly because I'm not the only one that has Chrono Trigger as my favorite video game. I play that like once a year. It is, I love that game so much. You should play it if you haven't. It's on the DS. Check that out. My favorite Pokemon is Emolga because I love sugar gliders or flying squirrels. I also love electric type Pokemon. Pikachu was the original. I feel like every generation they introduce a brand new electric type little cutesy Pokemon. Emolga's the one that takes the cake. I love Emolga so much. Even like the noise, its sound that it makes is cute. It's like you want to picture it coming out of a stuffed animal when you're hugging it. I love it so much. My favorite movie of all time is How to Train Your Dragon. I love that movie so much. I used to watch it, not kidding, every day when it came out on DVD. I would come home from work, it was like religion. I would come home and watch How to Train Your Dragon. It's still one of my favorite movies. I love it. Toothless is the cutest character. A dragon with cat-like tendencies. It is like, I love cats. I don't know if you guys know this, but I love cats. Cats are so cute. And to have a dragon that acts like a cat, How to Train Your Dragon, How to Train Your Dragon 2. More so the first one, because it's more about Toothless and less about Hiccup, which is, Yes, I do, actually. I really love school. I was the only person in my graduating class in high school that didn't want to graduate because I loved school so much. And if you're in school right now, please understand that it is a forced social environment that will disappear once you graduate. So everybody's like, man, I can't wait to grow up. No! Enjoy yourself, have fun. Enjoy the fact that you don't have to pay bills, or that you get to see your friends every day, or that the hardest thing that you have to do is learn. And learning is fun because you're bettering yourself. I know I sound super cheesy, like I'm like some sort of like poster child for stay in school. I don't know anybody now as an adult that doesn't look back and go, man, I really wish that I had whatever in high school or whatever in middle school. Like, I wish I had studied harder. I wish I had hung out with my friends more. I wish I had done all these things. And I feel that as a teenager, I also received the same thing, like, you know, enjoy yourself. And I was like, no, I want to grow up. I want to be an adult. I want to live on my own. I don't want anybody to tell me what to do. Having people not tell you what to do is then replaced with the responsibility of having to pay for everything that you do. Enjoy your time, because I was very acutely aware of my time when I was in high school. I was like, no, I don't want to leave. So I have 3 cats, Moose, Squirrel, and Turtle. Moose is my best friend in cat form. He's the oldest. I got him first. I got Moose when I was in high school, or just right out of high school. I originally thought when I got him he was a girl, so I named him Yoruichi, like from Bleach. And then I found out shortly after that he is not a girl. At the time I had a cat that lived with me at my parents' house named Gur, like from Invader Zim. And when Moose was a kitten, Gur would snuggle Moose like a mini Moose. Like Gur from Invader Zim snuggles mini Moose. And it's just like the cutest thing ever. And so I was like, oh, Gur's got a mini Moose. So Moose's name is actually Mini Moose. I just call him Moose for short. 2 years later, I got my cat Squirrel, and my friends Michael and Ashley were like, haha, wouldn't it be funny if you got Moose and Squirrel like Rocky and Bullwinkle? I was like, ha, I love it, I'm gonna do it. Squirrel's name originally when I got her from the Humane Society was Bucket, and I was like, no, it's not gonna work. I'm not gonna keep my cat's name as Bucket, no. So I changed her name to Squirrel. 2 years later, I got Turtle from my best friend Andrew. I wanted to keep with the theme of naming my cats after animals, and since she's a tortoiseshell calico, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna name her Turtle because she's a cutie. She's like got the most intense eyes. If you're following me on Instagram, all the pictures of Turtle are like this. She's like the most intense cat ever. I hate to be the person that likes to be like, well, I'm not gonna do either, but I'm not gonna do either. I'm very much a live in the now kind of person, enjoy every day as you have it. There are things that I wish hadn't happened to me, most of them outside of my control. The things that you experience and things that happen to you make you who you are. So instead of looking at that like, oh man, I wish I could change that, look at that as kind of like a bump in the road that you learn from. You're always gonna learn from your experiences. I don't have anything in the past that I would regret, because I know that if I went back to the past and changed it, I'm getting like super theoretical here. If I went back in the past and changed anything, I would probably irrevocably change everything of my now, and I don't want that. I like my now, how it is now. As for going to the future, I wouldn't be able to come back. I don't think that would be worth it, because then if you think about it, you would have to reestablish yourself and your circles and your family and your friends in the future. I just don't think that would be worth it. So neither. I'm sorry to cop out on your question, but neither. I would have to say being different. Mostly because it's easy to be like someone else, but it's harder to stand out and be yourself. It's harder to be yourself mostly because you feel like people are judging you, and you feel this pressure to be something or look a certain way. And it takes a lot out of a person to try to like fight that and to just try to be themselves. So when people tell me that I'm different, I take that as the biggest compliment, because I made a promise to myself that I wouldn't go anywhere or do anything if it compromised my integrity, or if it wasn't true to me as a person. So far, I've managed to keep that promise, and I hope to manage to keep it in the future. I hope that if you guys take anything away from following me or viewing any of my content, that you just try to be yourself. Be you as loud as you can, and remember that you're the only one of you that exists, and I think that's awesome. A lot of media people like to say that the YouTube community is very toxic, but I actually feel like the YouTube community is very tight-knit and supportive, and it wasn't until I started doing YouTube that I really had people back me up and support me in a way that I've never had before. I never had people in the comment section like, dude, don't talk to her like that, having my back like a friend would. I don't think that other communities really have that friendship and that loyalty, and I think that's awesome. You guys are like the coolest community to be working in and to work with, and I love it. You guys are awesome. Playmates essentially are brand ambassadors for Playboy. They are centerfolds. They have their centerfold, their monthly issue. I am, in case you guys didn't know, Miss October 2012. I had this centerfold. I was actually fortunate to be graced on the cover of my issue, so if you ever pick up a copy of the October 2012 issue, that's me on the cover, which was a really awesome honor that was bestowed upon me. I'm very thankful. But as time has gone on, Playboy just celebrated their 60th anniversary. What the Playmate is and how they represent the brand has kind of changed. And I think that since Playboy's gone non-nude, that's changed even more so, and it's kind of harder to define what exactly a Playmate is. Obligations and role-wise, it's a 2-year contract. You can work through Playmate promotions, do promotional events, you can wear a bunny suit. It's a title. It's kind of like, I don't want to compare like Miss America or anything like that, but it's a title you receive that no one else can take away from you. I'm the only Miss October 2012. There are other Miss Octobers, but from different years. Being a Playmate is more than just, hey, she's really pretty, because she's got to have the personality, she's got to have the passion, she's got to have motivation, she has to have a brand and a focus. It's not just like, I'm really pretty and I take off my clothes. A lot of Playmates go into fashion design, they go into fitness, they go into acting, and especially modeling. I'm one of very few, and by very few I mean 2 Playmates that went into gaming. I'm of course talking about Amelia Talon, who is Miss June 2012, the same year. 2 gaming Playmates in the same year. What? Being a Playmate is kind of what each Playmate makes it. It's a stepping point for all girls who become Playmates, or at least it was. Right now it's kind of different, because most Playmates now are girls who are models that already exist on social media, so it's a little bit different. They're not taking girls from obscurity, the girl next door vibe that once was. I don't know if it still applies. I'm not really sure, you know? I'm confused about what Playmates are right now. I do like where it's going, where it's not so much about the, you know, like the nudity and stuff. It's more about the personality and what the girl's passionate about, which I love. Sorry that wasn't really a straight answer. It's kind of a confusing, ambiguous thing, but you know, each Playmate makes it what she wants it to be. Yes! My Twitch already, my personal Twitch is just twitch.tv/Pamela Horton 13. I could have changed that to Pamela Horton stuff, but make sure you guys follow my Twitch so you can see when I go online. I might eventually open up a subscriber base, but I don't know what I would do. I think I would need suggestions on that first. We'll find out. We'll play it by ear, but I'll start streaming sometime soon. I want to say like women in gaming like 15, 20 years ago was almost non-existent. Mostly because being a nerd and being, you know, like a geek was kind of a man's thing. And we've slowly come out of gender roles, which has been really awesome. Women putting their foot down to be like, hey, I like to play video games too. But there's also the flip side where marketing companies who saw an opportunity to sell to men used sex to sell to men in video games, and in the gaming community, guys see right through that stuff. And I don't know why marketing companies still use that. Like, I feel like the most heavily criticized advertisements are ones that use sexuality or women or sexiness, because the gaming community can sniff out when someone is not legitimate. When someone says, I'm a gamer, tee-hee, and then they're chewing on like a cord, but they don't elaborate on any sort of passions. I've personally experienced this. Having been the gamer at Playboy, there would be plenty of times when people would introduce other girl gamers to me, and they'd be like, oh yeah, I'd love to play Call of Duty. And I'm like, which version? And then they're like, oh, the one on the Xbox. And I'm like Xbox 360, Xbox One? Are we talking like Black Ops, Black Ops 2, Black Ops 3, Modern Warfare? What are we talking about? And they're just like, no, Call of Duty. And I'm like, okay, you watch your boyfriend play and then you say that you are playing to seem relevant or cool or sexy. There's a number of women in like Hollywood and in the influencer community who feel they have to like mold themselves to be appealing to a lot of audiences instead of staying within a niche. It's like, I know nothing in an expansive way about fashion, and I don't pretend to know. In fact, I carry myself like I don't. So when someone's like, oh yeah, do you like, I can't even pretend to know like fashion names. I'm not gonna be like, oh yeah, you know, I went to this fashion show. I'll say I was invited to a fashion show once that I went to because my friend was in the show and it was cool, but I don't know anything about fashion. I would straight up tell people that I don't know things just for the sake of honesty, whereas a lot of girls feel like to feel appealing, and like I was saying before, they have to feel that they have to be similar or fit a mold or, you know, look or be a certain way. And most of that's because a lot of girls don't know what they want to do. They don't know where they fit and what their brand is, so they kind of, you know, like, eh. And I'm not saying that's how that all goes. I always get like stuck in my own head. But in the gaming community, there's an intense scrutiny, a hardcore scrutiny on women in gaming, and that's not a bad thing. I feel that men and women in gaming have kind of been, you know, like a little manipulated and a little conditioned to be this way, not because they want to be, but because they have to be, because the community's not necessarily under attack, but people want to sell to them, and they do scrupulous things to sell to them, using sex as one of them. Like when my issue came out and I said that I like to play video games, you know, I'd get in a PR blast, which by the way was one of the worst times ever, because so as a Playmate, not that it's required that you are single or that, you know, they just wanted to, you know, they want to imply that you're single, and at the time I wasn't. So when I was filling out the data sheet on my Playmate thing, they're like, what makes you feel good? And I was like, I love that I'm my gamer guy's dream girl. I love being the perfect woman to the person that I'm with, not to every man. Appealing to every man is not something that I really want to do, mostly because that's so unobtainably hard. If the person that I'm in a relationship with is fulfilled and enjoys the type of person that I am, be it a gamer or whatever, that makes me happy. So the fact that I was my gamer guy's dream girl made me happy. But they couldn't be like, well, you're your man's dream gamer girl. They had to put it in. It's like, and this is the actual quote that was in my data sheet, I enjoy being every gamer guy's dream girl. And people just had a shit storm with it. They just, like, they tore me apart. Kotaku wrote an article about me, about that PR blast, never actually reached out to interview me. They just wrote an article on the PR blast, a third-party PR company sent out, by the way. Was not cleared through me. I did not say, yeah, send that out. That'll really get people interested in interviewing me for when my issue comes out. Didn't work. The best thing that came out of it was they were like, you know, a Playmate plays League of Legends or whatever. So that was kind of a cool thing because that got me in touch with Riot Games, but still. I would do interviews and people would start the interview with, yeah, it's not that I don't believe you're a gamer, but I'm just gonna ask you a few questions. I'm not lying. Some of the people, not all of the people, would preface the interviews with little trivia questions to find out if I was a real gamer. I understand the need to be guarded, but honestly, I was a little offended. But I'm almost unfair to myself with how fair I am to other people, and I understand that PR blast did not look good. I didn't think it looked good, I understand that. But still, for me, like, it was just a little offensive to, like, get on the phone with people, be my bright bubbly self, and then have to be like, yes, yes, Pac-Man, yes, like, just like answering little trivia questions about video games is just like, it was kind of demeaning. It was just not cool. All right, guys, I am so sorry. I meant to answer more questions, but now my battery's dying on my camera and I have to go to yoga. So thank you so much for submitting your questions. If you have more questions, please submit them in the comment section down below or tweet at me at Pamela Horton 13. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you click like and subscribe. Leave your comments down below. Let me know if you have any other questions. I will get to them eventually, hopefully in the next Q&A video. Let me know what you guys think, and I hope you'll stick with me as I'm trying to figure out what I'm gonna do over the next couple of months. I love you guys. I appreciate your support, and I look forward to going on this adventure together. Love you. Bye.